Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Alan Smith. I want to give you a quick studio update today on what I've been working on here in the shop. Not a huge amount. I have been busy as a little bee with my work, my career work, that is. Just, you know, making money, trying to take care of customers, the usual. Had a college graduation. My son graduated from college. Very proud of him. Had that to do. Not a lot going on here in the workshop as far as building goes for the new Gamers Den. So yeah, I think once we get more into the summer here and I get some hot days where I can't be outside much, I'm going to continue on with more framing. So without further ado, let's go to the action cam here, the paint table cam, and I'll just show you what I've been doing. Now, this morning I was able to get started on my Queens Rangers, right? So those are progressing. Got them base coated in white as usual. Got 3 stands of those. I'm going to probably set those up kind of like skirmishers on smaller bases. Smaller bases meaning something of this size. This is kind of like a scrap unit that I had for my Brits. I just ended up just putting them as just like a little small little unit of some kind. I can attach it to another larger unit if I wanted to, just to get rid of some of the scrap figures that I had. So see, those worked out really nice. So you can get this lighting a little better there, but you can kind of see how those turned out. I really like those. I'm not sure where these figs are from. These are not Old Glory miniatures. So we got those. But to show you here real quick, guys, on the action cam. So with my Queens Rangers, this is my reference from the uniforms of the American War of Independence that I was talking about in the last video. And you can see here how I can reference the 2 types of troops. This guy has the long coat, this guy has the short waist coat, and it will point out that it has this guy has the winter gaiters, which would be the black gaiters, you know, for putting on in fall, winter time frame. So that's kind of how useful that book is for you guys. And you can see here, we got the long waistcoat, right? And we got the short waistcoat. So I got a little bit of both. These are the Old Glory. You see I've got 30 here. I'm going to break them up into small units. I can also use them as skirmishers, as I mentioned. I've got another unit of cavalry here on the table that are base coated and ready for painting. So we've got that going on. And I'll show you the finished units of the cavalry that I'm done with. These are totally complete. They are even have the protective coat on there. All right, so those turned out really good. I'm really pleased how those turned out. Great figs to paint. Again, Old Glory miniatures. Here's another stand. So really nice. I really like how those turned out. I know this light, the new lighting I have is the 5000K. I've got let's see, 4 5000K bulbs, and I have a 5000K, and then I have a 3000K that's giving me a little bit of yellow light. It gives you a little bit of blue tinge on this camera, but it's really good to paint with. It really brightens everything up so I can really see the colors better. So if it looks a little blue to you here on the action cam, that's what you're dealing with. Then you can go down to the 3000K and it'll be more of a yellowish light, but I seem to like this. Now here is the regiment. I ended up going with 20 on a stand instead of 30. I just thought it looked better for this size stand. It worked out really nice. You can see I got the drummer, and I figured out that as you're facing the unit, The British flag goes on the right, the unit flag goes on the left, and typically the unit flag, or the regiment flag, will be the same color as their facings, and in this case would be the blue facings, which is a traditional British unit. Now the other thing that I caught after I had almost done with them was the white on the tops of the caps that I did not catch until right before base coating, and I went back through and corrected that mistake. Another stand for you. These guys are forming the firing line, of course, and just really happy how they turned out. I ended up just sticking au naturel with my basing as far as the hardboard. Now this is an MDF, M as in Michael, D as in David, F as in Frank, hardboard they call this. Now this is not like your traditional MDF. It is much harder and denser, excuse me, and it will not warp. It'll be less prone to warping. This is about probably as long as I would want to go on my length of my base, so that as you apply your glue or your plaster material even, you won't see any warpage or bendage, right? And then I got another one here. This is the 2 lines of firing, Brits firing. So I'm just really enjoying this 15mm scale. Love it. It's going to be perfect. It's the perfect scale in my opinion. I'm going to be doing a little video on scales, explanation of scales, why you use different scales, pros and cons of using certain kinds of scale. So you can see there they turned out great. I was really happy how they turned out. And yeah, so I've already got my artillery units in the case over here already. I already have some British light infantry that I've done. I think 2 regiments of light infantry, maybe even 3. And I've got my unit of cavalry here. I'm going to have another unit of cavalry. Then I'm going to have my Queen's Rangers. And for right now, that will be my 15mm British Army that I will field in my Rise and Fight Again battles, and also Maurice as the 2 rule sets that I will be using. Now I did want to point out real quick here before I let you go, if you are doing Queen's Rangers, even if you're doing Queen's Rangers in 28mm, you can see here, use a 28mm. We're using for my Forager rule set. You may be wondering, Al, what color are you using for the tunics or the jackets? And that is, ta-da, olive green. Olive green is the color I'm going with. They have some other colors that are very similar to this, Vallejo does, that aren't called olive green, but they're going to be very close. But you're going to want that dark hunter green, not that vibrant, bright green. I'll show you what to stay away from. A lot of guys I noticed are using this deep green, and you can see how it's almost like a comic book colory green, you know, like Green Goblin color. That's a little too bright. Now here's something that's very close. It's a little bit paler, and I guess if you had this on hand, you could get away with it, especially if you're doing a brown wash like I'm going to. This is the Russian uniform, is a close color. American dark green. So there's, as long as you're keeping in mind that dark olive green, hunter green color, which is pointed out in my painting guide for on my book that I have over here. So just a little tip there, if you guys are looking for the good color to use, that's what I'm using. And now that you can see that it's dry, it's going to be working out really well. So those of you guys just getting into this, so we're going to be talking hunter green. We're going to be using some black for the helmets. I'm going to go back in, even though I did a base coat of white, I'm going to go back in and just do the tops of their calves, parts of their pants, with just pure white. Then I'll do the brown wash after we do the flesh. We'll do the rifles and the wood color that I have, the new wood I like to use in Vallejo. And then I think I might do the rifle barrels in these. Some of the British troops I didn't bother, is really a detail that really didn't stand out too well, especially once you apply a wash. So I'd probably do a little bit of a test on that. You know, applying some bolt gun metal. Let's go in on the shot here. You know, some bolt gun metal on the top of the barrel right there. Then I'll put a wash on it and see if I can really see the distinguishing difference between a metallicized barrel versus just a barrel painted the new wood, and if your eye even catches it at this scale. Okay, so real quick, I just wanted to kind of, something that just crossed my mind that I was going to mention regarding scale. One of the other advantages to going with 15 millimeter, guys, is the cost. Okay, the cost of the 15 mil figs is going to be much less, and you get more figs for the money, so you can field a bigger army for less, and there's less detailing involved. So you're typically picking out, typically on my figs that I've been doing here at 15 mil, I'm at like 5 colors, a wash, then I base the figs, put my flocking, all that stuff on, and then I finish it off with a protective coat. Now I'm going to show you real quick again what I like to use. You can brush this on. I use an airbrush. I do thin it a little bit with some distilled water so it runs through the airbrush a little cleaner and smoother. But let me grab that and I'll show you, and then we'll let you go. And here it is. This is the product that I searched high and low for, because like a lot of you guys are doing or have done is using the Model Masters dull coat or the Tester's dull coat and an aerosol. And like I said a couple years ago, when I switched over to the airbrush, I just want to get away from aerosols. The smell and having to go out to the garage or out to my shop and spraying into a box. I actually had a plastic, you know, a tote, clear tote that I had set up over here. You may go back to some of my older videos and see what I was using. By a window, I would pop the window open, you know, on cold days and stay over there, you know, and my wife would, you know, complain about the smell. So I just made the plunge, got into the airbrush. I haven't looked back. I love using an airbrush. I use the Iwata Neo, which has worked out really well. You just, you know, run cleaner through it, clean the tip before each session so everything runs nice and smooth and you have no worries. But this is the product, Micro Flat. Okay, Micro Flat. It's a clear finish for models. It said it's a tough, non-yellowing, high quality finish, and it's water soluble, guys, so it's easy cleanup. Like I say, you can run through the airbrush. And I just cut this. This is my last bottle. I'm gonna have to order a couple more bottles here. And I just cut this with some more distilled water, okay? Distilled water, so you don't have the minerals getting in there. So definitely use distilled water. All right, guys, thanks for coming along today on my little update for you. I'll be putting up videos as often as I can. I also want to invite you guys to look at my other channel. It's Exploring with the Smiths. And we've got 4 videos up already this season for some of our bike rides. We've had some epic bike rides. We've had 4 amazing bike rides already this season. And I invite you to check those out. It's a lot of fun. It's another great hobby when it's nice outside to get off your rear end, get outside and enjoy the beautiful weather, enjoy the scenery. If you're not into cycling, that's another great hobby for you guys. So check that out sometime when you get a chance. All right, guys, see ya. Ciao.